here to deliver his first serious speech in the comedy track of Toastmasters, titled For the Love of Cars. Toastmaster Daniel Day Wallace.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. For the love of cars, what are some of the things that you love? I remember always loving cars. As a kid, you wouldn't think so, given the road trips our family took. 4 small kids in the back of a compact car, windows rolled up, both parents smoking. Now, whatever damage that was done due to secondhand smoke, luckily was undone by my total disgust of cigarettes and smoking. You know, I would ride in the back of the car and I would look at other cars and fantasize about cars. I knew the makes, models, and years of cars almost instinctively. In fact, when I was 8.5 years old, I was hit by a car. That's not a joke. And I almost died. But I continued fantasizing about cars. When I was 15, I was shipped off to military boarding school. And no cars allowed there. My father was killed the beginning of my junior year when I came back to school. I remember going to his funeral and then coming back and being disoriented and unfocused. And my girlfriend and her parents provided me emotional support. And I would walk to her house on Wednesdays and weekends since I had no car. Now in the meantime, my mother and I, we made a deal. If she said she would invest my Social Security survivor benefits, and at the end of high school, I could buy a car. She had the use of her brother's car. It was a 1968 Corvair stick shift, very, very nice car. For the better part of 2 years, I fantasized about cars and what car I would buy, and I drew pictures, and I thought about them during class, and the day finally arrived. I graduated, and graduation was dwarfed by my excitement over going car shopping. So I went to my mother and I said, "Mama," we were Southern, I called her Mama, "how much money do I have?" She had recently remarried, kind of a tough love fellow, my stepfather Frank. She said, "What money?" I felt like I'd fallen out of a second-story window onto the concrete. I said, "Do you remember our deal?" She said, "Yeah, I remember it, but there is no money." She says, "You know, you can either have your sister's old car or you can have nothing." So I learned pretty quickly. I took my sister's well-used VW Beetle. Now, over the years, I continued fantasizing about cars, and I bought some doozies. About every 2 years, I would buy a new car. I'd go into a car dealership, less concerned with the cost of the car and more concerned with how much money I could borrow. And I developed some very awful money management habits, and I overpaid for these cars. But for some reason, I prospered anyway, and things went pretty well economically for me. I was able to do that. 2008 recession through 2014 put me on my ear, and I learned what I could live without. I could live without social status. I could live without a fancy house, without luxurious vacations, without a cool and sporty car. Today, I live in an 800 square foot apartment. I decorated myself. I drive a 6-year-old Mazda 3 stick shift, and I have to say I'm much happier with less. Every time I walk into my apartment, I say to myself, I love this place. I'm so lucky to have it. Every time I get in my car, I say, I love this car. I'm so lucky to have it. And I have to say also, I love being a part of this club. I'm so lucky to be here, and you're my friends. God, the lessons he teaches us don't always seem like it at the time, but they are all truly blessings. Now, I'll step out of character for a minute. It's hard for me to give a straight speech. I originally wrote this speech, and I had about 5 zingers in there, and I decided to try to do a totally straight speech without a net, and this is the result. But I do love comedy. I do. I like making people laugh or groan. That's just about as good to me. And you might, based on the speech, you might say, when I die, put on my tombstone, here lies Daniel Day Wallace. He had a shtick and he drove a stick. Now, one more for you. What's the favorite call at the bingo game? B9.
Well done, Dan.
Thank you.